certainly do that, okay? So class, this is an honor. I've said it so many times. I watched the movie back in May, and right after I watched the movie, I said, I need her to speak to the class. And I sent an email and I got a reply right away. Yes, of course. So I was just thrilled by that. And what I'm going to do right now, this is your class, students. We've got on the call about 45 future leaders in our country who want to change things for the better. So this is your class. This is your opportunity to learn how to do that. I've seen a lot of videos, and your energy is so positive. And I want you to share that positive energy with us. And right up front, I just want to ask, what is your message for our future leaders of how they can bring change? And then we're going to turn it over to them to ask questions and for you to talk as well.
Thank you so much, Mr. Boyle. It is my honor and privilege to speak at your class today. And I was looking forward to this so much. I'm so excited to not only speak to the student, but also to learn from them, because I hope that I anticipate this class will be interactive. So we'll be speaking, and also I would like them to open up and be engaged. I've been in the struggle for more than 21 years now, going to be 22 years soon. My firstborn, Amadou, was killed on February 4th, 1999, in the Bronx in New York. After a long, hard working day, he came from work and came home, and he was tired, but he wanted to step out for food. And upon his encounter with the officers, no one has called 911. No one has dialed 911 before. And there was nothing going on in that neighborhood that night that can really cause these officers to apprehend Amadou. Not only they saw him in the vestibule where he lived, they also stepped out with guns drawn and came right at him, and they killed him, firing 41 shots. That is the story that inspired Netflix to do the 41 shots drive-by media. Amadou did not get justice. This is the fuel of my energy that I want to not only let the world know who Amadou was, but also to perhaps impact positive changes. Because when Amadou was killed in the Bronx, the trial was supposed to be in the Bronx, but unfortunately, the defense lawyers of the officers argued that the officers will not get a fair trial in New York due to the publicity of the case. So the case was moved in Albany, rural upstate New York. I think the students have had the chance to see legally how the trial was conducted through the film that they watched on Netflix. But today, I would like to speak to them about who Amadou was. Amadou was my firstborn. He was born on September 2nd, 1975. In fact, his birthday just passed on the 2nd. And I was very emotional because every year I'll try to organize some type of events with students who work with us through the Kadiatou Diallo Foundation. And this year has been a challenging year because we're going through the COVID and we couldn't do much. So I stepped back and meditate and prayed and reminiscing our daily life, how we used to live together. He was born in Liberia and grew up in Liberia, Togo, Guinea is our origin country, and Asia, where he went to high school at the French International School. He graduated at the high school and then he went to Singapore to learn about computer science. He went there for 1.5 years taking computer literacy before coming to the US. Amadou loved good food. He was a connoisseur. He loved to read, and he would read everything that come to his hands. And he was curious early on, and he spoke 5 languages. He spoke Fulani, our native tongue, French, English, Spanish, and Thai. He was exposed to an international cultures, cross-cultural exposure early on. And I'm sure if you had the chance to meet Ahmad, you would be friend with him right away. He was a great communicator, a gentle soul, an old soul, and he was shy, but really, really a good listener too. He would be in a room where it's full of people and everyone would be talking, and he would capture everything. He would never forget a single word that someone mentioned in the room. He was a good listener. He was my best friend because when I had him, I was just 16 years old. And sadly, um, he came to America because he wanted to go to college. Unfortunately, the event that took his life robbed him the dream that he had, which was to go to college and have a computer degree, college degree. And his death has really galvanized the whole world at that time. We don't have social media, but it was echoed over everywhere around the world. Even today, I'm amazed and feel blessed that 22 years later, people still remember who Amadou was. My goal is to keep on talking about Amadou and let the people know who he was, because more often when people got into this, become victim of police shooting, the first thing you would see in the news is how the media will stereotype the victim and how people will say you have to give the police the benefit of the doubt because they were doing their job. So the narrative will be that your loved one will become not only a victim, but also will become a caricature. People will be reading about, so many things that the family have to make sure that the history of your loved one is well documented and well known. I also published a book. The title of the book is My Heart Will Cross This Ocean. My Story, My Son Amadou is the subtitle. That was published in 2003. I don't know whether all the students have the chance to research about the subject today to find out that. This is why I'm mentioning that for your, the material that you would need to research and document stories about these cases. This keep on happening and is not ending. This is why I thank you for organizing this forum with the students to bring these stories in the classroom, from the street, from the protests to the classroom, because these students, you are the hope that we had. You are the one that we depend on, because you go into this very important institute. You would have a voice. You would have a chance to put your input into the history of this country and try to change the system. If nothing changed, unfortunately, we will not be at peace, because families are sick and tired of having to live through tragedy after tragedy, and the outcome will be the same. Always the officers will go unpunished, and always you would read about laws to be changed, implemented, and it would be the same thing again. So in a short notch, I wanted to really open up like the way I have, because I want people to understand that Amadou Diallo, yes, was February 4th, 1999, but it's your story, it's my story, it's every man's story. And it's not an old issue, it's current, it's happening. If you look at cases like George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, and Rayshard Brooke. All these cases are connected. So each time there's a shooting, police shooting, people will connect and I will be called to speak. I would gather all my strength and reach and connect to Amadou's soul so that I can come out, even though it would be emotional, but speak out because it's important. It is important. Today I'm a grandma and I have other children. I would love to see the generation, the future generation, to be in peace, live in harmony. And we all have a stake in this. We are all connected. We need to do something about this. And I look forward to a very productive hour with you today. And don't feel overwhelmed. Don't feel like don't return anything back. We are together. We are students today in this classroom. Thank you so much.
Sorry, I'm emotional already. So those are the best opening remarks I've ever heard. So thank you so much. So students, sorry. Can the students please start engaging and asking some questions, okay?
I can only see two young ladies. One is Angelica and CJ. I don't see the rest of them, but you two, I can see you.
On your top right corner, there's a little dotted area. If you click that, you get the full view of the whole class.
Okay, let me see. Okay, I see more now.
Okay, yes. So
Yes.
students, use this opportunity, start to ask some questions and engage, please.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, how are you? My name is Gabrielle and I'm from New York City, New York, and I've actually known about the case for a while because, you know, my father's an NYPD officer, and when your son was killed, my dad actually started his job in the NYPD in 1999, a year before I was born. So I'm so sorry for your loss, but I have a question about what you think cops of color can do moving forward to make sure people that look like them aren't gunned down by their white peers who are police officers.
Thank you so much, Gabrielle. How old are you?
I'm 20.
20. Oh my goodness. I think after Amadou was killed, maybe 1 year later you were born, and now you are in college. Wonderful. I really congratulate you for the hard work. And I understand you say your father was a police officer?
He is.
He's still a police officer?
Yeah, he is.
Oh, good. I think on the first, you have had one guest in your class, and his name is Graham Weatherspoon, and he served on the board of the Amadou Diallo Foundation. He's a retired police detective. And he always, when I talk with him, I ask him all the time if having more minority police officers will make a difference. He would tell me, yes, but also having good officers will make more difference. I think we need to see diversity in the police force, but more importantly, we need to have good cops. If they are white, Black, or Hispanic, is the same thing. If they are not consciously thinking positively and apprehending people the way they want their family member to be apprehended, it could be the same thing. And also officers, if they have these laws that protects them, each time they have, they abuse someone or brutalize someone or kill, if they depend on those protection in the court of law and they would continue to do the same thing, you have to call on for having good police officers, whether they are Black or not. It's important to see those who are patrolling the neighborhood should be there like the community they serve. or to be known in their community. So your question is a very good one. And I think having people of your kind to police your neighborhood will also help. But more importantly, we need good cops. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
My question is, so after watching the documentary, did you ever hear back? It's been 22 years. So from the four cops that were involved, did they ever, either them or their families, ever try to contact you?
Thank you, Dara. It's a great question. In fact, ever since the case of my son, I have never had any communication with the family of the officers, the four of them. I remember one time the media tried to play some type of, manipulation through the media to say that I have asked to meet with one of the cops who killed Amadou, which was totally fabricated because they like to sensationalize stories to sell papers. So I decided not to answer that story, not to address it. I just ignore it because to me, Amadou was killed by the whole system. So changing the system is much more important than me sitting down with one of the cops or all the cops who killed Amadou. Because if you remember that after Amadou, how many more people has been killed? And I remember one time someone was suggesting in the media that maybe Amadou does not speak English at all. And they tried to paint brush Amadou as someone who is insignificant immigrant who met his destiny in the toughest of New York. And he didn't understand police comment. At that time, this is what is propelling me to speak out. When I read that story, I said, no way, because it was totally fabricated. And they claim at that time it was isolated case. Now it has been out in the face of the entire state of America and the whole world. This is a global problem. We keep on seeing more and more and more cases because now we have social media. We have social media because we can see the video of what happened. And this is the only change I think we are seeing right now is the awareness. With the social media, people can document with their own. I'm not suggesting that all police officers are brutalizing people or killing them, but I'm saying that so many victims has been killed or brutalized by the same police that we call for to protect and serve. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
So I don't know how much you knew about police brutality in America before you came here, but what was it like kind of being, I don't want to say pushed into the spotlight, but you were suddenly a part of this enormous movement that obviously you've taken part in wholeheartedly, but what was it like kind of in the beginning being, while publicly grieving for your son and also
Thank you, dear.
the media fabricating stories, like you said, what was?
Thank you so much for your question, Gia. When I was living in Africa, in Guinea, we lived in many countries, different countries, as I said in my opening. And when Amadou decided to come to America, he was really so dreaming, so loving America, everything about America. He would dance to the tune of Michael Jackson and MC Hammer. He would imitate them and listen to Born in the USA with Bruce Springsteen, and really watching all the games. He was an avid supporter of the Chicago Bulls. And always talk about how he loved America more than how America loved him when he came here. Um, Before he came to America, I had visited America. I came a year before him to come on a business trip. My background was in gem business, and I had office in Bangkok, Thailand, and dealing with gemstones. So I traveled to Tucson, Arizona to do the gem exhibition, and I came to DC and came to New York, and I didn't know. I could not, until it happened to you, you would not know. You don't have the awareness about police brutality. I remember just watching, there was one case, Abna Luema, a young Haitian immigrant who was brutalized in New York, in Brooklyn, with a broomstick. He was really damaged. I watched that and I watched the marchers protesting that, and felt so bad. I said, how can this happen? This is horrible. But I would never connect to it. I always see it outside of, I would not even imagine that Amadou can be caught into this police brutality, because he was one of the person that cannot go into trouble. He never had even a speeding ticket in New York. He never been in a fight before. When he goes in the neighborhood, to interact with people. Is maybe on Sunday afternoon, you'll see the Hispanic community in the Bronx playing soccer. He would come and jump right in and they'll play together, you know. And I couldn't imagine. This was my wild, I cannot even in a million years think that Ahmad would be confronting this type of situation. So it was awakening. It was like a nightmare for me when I heard that happen to my son. And being involved in the movement was not my chosen. I didn't choose that. It just happened to be the mother who was outraged and seeking justice for her child. Through my speaking about my child, I didn't know I was inspiring people. I didn't know I was joining a movement. I had no idea about the political system or anything else. I just tried to be the mother who want to tell the people, hey, despite everything, stop and think about my child. He was a child, he was a son. He lived his life, and I want to share that with the world. So that is how I became part of the movement without even knowing it. Thank you.
Hi, I have a question. So you, like, obviously we know that the media can really distort what happened and portray like caricatures and stereotypes. But it also seems like, at least recently, the media has been kind of a tool to aid the movement by spreading awareness.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think like that balance is? Do you think that the media is like helpful or not as helpful in terms of getting like traction for this movement that obviously has been going on for so long?
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, Rachel. I think that the media is helpful, but at the same time, the media can twist a story and change the narrative of a story. Because Amadou had so much media coverage, and that was the intention of all the media that I encountered, was to help to tell the story. But the beginning was missed. And the way they covered Amadou's story right in the beginning was a stereotype, typical definition of the young immigrant person. They missed it. And the way they missed it is to say Amadou was this immigrant who was a street vendor. Does that make Amadou the street vendor of a whole life? No. Amadou was selling on the street for less than a year. And the purpose of selling on the street was because when people come from immigrate in the United States or Europe or any other place, you have to find a place to start. And he found out early on, the first job he had was on a computer store to take inventory of the orders and deliver the computer to different clients. And his back was hurting for lifting this. And he changed, and he said he can't do that anymore because he wanted to save money for college. And the reason why he was working so hard also was because he was independent. He didn't want the family to help him. He was proud. And he found a place in Manhattan, 14th and 2nd Street in Manhattan, and he was selling to save money for college. By the time when he was killed, he had saved $9,000. And he told me when we spoke the last time on January 31st, 1999, he said, "Mom, I'm ready, I'm going to college." And he was very proud. So by defining Amadou, saying that he was a street vendor, I always, when I read about how to describe Amadou, it's the same thing. Even though I came to New York and I addressed the media, I showed them Amadou certificate from Singapore. I showed them the books that Amadou had. No, in the light in which he was defined is still the street vendor. So that is why I said the media can help, but also can hurt by wanting to flip from one story to another. So this is why you are going to, in your class, I challenge you to not just read something and accept it. I challenge you to rip it apart, take it apart, read it, and make your own investigation, make your own, your own interpretation of the story before you write something up, because many things can cause a big damage on someone's story. This is why I end up on the story in the film. I said the power of a story. No one should let no one should let somebody tell their story. You have to tell your own story. And I'm glad that I was able to speak about Amadou. Otherwise, by now, people would just forget about him. And I can't let that happen. And the media is, we have to deal with the media, especially when you have cases like that. But at the same time, you want to make sure that they have the right coverage, the right story about your loved one. Thank you.
Hello, I have a question. My name is Jakaya, and I'm very grateful for you to take your time to be with us today. I was wondering, what have you learned during your time in the movement about how to prevent racial injustices? Especially, it kind of felt like watching the 41 Shots, it felt like we were headed in the right direction in terms of how the officers were charged, and it seems like we were going to get a fair trial, but then ultimately they were acquitted. So I was just wondering what you learned during your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Jackie. What I learned about the movement is that change takes time and change takes struggle. And the struggle will be so long. Sometimes you would feel that it's just useless. Sometimes you feel discouraged. Sometimes you feel like giving up, but never give up. We have to keep on going. And because if we give up, we will never have the change that we're waiting for. And it's a lifetime commitment. And I have attended so many forums, and I have testified in Washington, D.C. I have testified in Albany, New York, upstate New York. And we have lobby for laws, not just me, but one in many. Many families are working, fighting hard, and I connected with so many moms who are very strong in we together talk, even behind the cameras. After the media left, we still talk, we still connect, and we still have our meetings, and we talk to elected officials to hold them accountable. If they promise us that they will look into a law, we will make sure to revisit, the issue, call them and remind them, because it's difficult to have change. But I believe in you, all of you in your classroom. Do you know how powerful you are? You cannot even imagine how powerful you are, because you are the one who can affect change. We are doing our part, and we're looking to hear from all of you, what are you going to bring into this struggle? Because this has been a long journey for me. But when I look at my grandkids who are now 16 years old almost, they are triplets, 3 boys born in America. I would never give up, because I want them and their generation to live in peace. I want them to be, not to look at and stereotyped by any officer in their neighborhood or elsewhere where they go. I want them to be free of everything that their uncle has been through. So it's important. It is a lifetime commitment. Sometimes you don't even want to wake up in the morning, but you when you think about how far you have come, you will see that at the end of the tunnel, there's a light. You cannot feel discouraged. So yes, it's still a long struggle, but we'll get there. We are not there yet, but I'm sure we'll get there. Because the fact that you young people are interested, engaging into this conversation, gave me hope. Gave me hope, really. Thank you for your question.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Hi.
Ms. Diallo. Yeah, again, thank you so much for coming and speaking with us. This is really powerful. So I guess my question was about, I know that after the whole ordeal, you ended up attempting to sue the city. So could you tell us more about like that process and what it actually entailed and what was the end result and how long it took also? Thank you.
Thank you, CJ. I understand you want me to speak to the audience about this civil case, right?
Yes, correct.
Yes. It's interesting because when I crossed the ocean to come to America, I don't have background about the criminal justice system. So with our lawyers, we were advised and guided through the system. So the criminal case against the officers was the people against the 4 officers who killed Amadou. That is the case that was moved, that's supposed to be handled in the Bronx, moved to rural upstate New York, and guarantee the officers' acquittal. After the police officers were acquitted of all charges, together with civil rights leaders like Reverend Al Sharpton and other leaders in the civil rights movement, we went to Washington, D.C. together to argue that the Justice Department should look into the case to review the case and see if they would bring civil charges against violating Amadou's civil right. That case was reviewed pending for 6 months before a decision was made. And at that time, the decision was made not to charge the officers. and the criminal case was done, because beyond a reasonable doubt, they don't believe that they can find the officers guilty of violating Amadou's civil rights. Amadou was the witness and he died. He can't speak for himself. So we had the option of suing the officers and the city for damages for killing my son, which our lawyers filed the civil suit. But upon learning that the civil suit can only lead to reopening the case and trying the officers, but the outcome will be just about money, we, the family, decided, because when the city asked us to settle the case, we decided just to move on. Because in the end, it wasn't about impacting change. It was about the money in the civil case. So that was not our area of interest. So we decided, instead of bringing the officers and trying them for money, arguing the case again, and the end result will be just about money, we rather move on and try to build a legacy to help people in the honor of Amadou. And we created the Kadiatou Diallo Foundation. So yes, again, we had the option of trying the case on a civil case basis, but then we decided, after the city asked us to settle, we just accepted that. And because for me, Amadou is more than any amount that someone can talk about, but yeah, this is what happened. The criminal justice system, this is how it works. But still, we had the option of impacting change in another way, to talk about police training. I think you do know that the street crime unit that those officers belongs to was disbanded at that time. And we still work with community leaders and families of victims of police brutality to talk about ending the qualified immunity. When officers kill a loved one, they should not have that law to protect them. People should have access to their record, because if they have so many their records, like people file so much complaint against them, they have shield because of the qualified immunity. And the 50A also was another law that we just in New York succeeded to, together with many grassroots organizations, to be repealed. That law 50A has been repealed, but the police union is still fighting for it. So yeah. I see one gentleman for the first time, woman power, but hey, welcome. Yes, Robert.
So what changes do you hope to see, what legislation or laws do you hope to be able to change to be able to ensure that Amadou and other people do not continue to be gunned down by police?
Yes, thank you, Robert. I think the change that we hope will happen is ending qualified immunity. That is a law that protects all the officers. They can kill someone, and qualified immunity will be there to protect them. And also, like I talked just now, the 50A. But I think that having more diverse police officers also in neighborhood will help a lot. But this is more than anything else. I want them to be human. To treat people, police officers should be human and treat people the way they want to be treated. And it's difficult to do that, but in their conscience, they need to view minority people, Black and brown people, as human as they see their own family members. I remember one of the mom told me one night, because sometimes we have our late night talks. If someone is down, we call each other and we comfort each other. She said to me, Mrs. Diallo, I don't understand. How can a police officer kill someone and go home and hug their children? In their conscience, I don't understand. Because sometimes people will say, hey, people should also understand that police officers do dangerous job, that they go in high crime area, that they are exposed to many dangers, that they have to protect themselves. We get it, that's true. But aren't they equipped to handle a situation like that? We got to look at their training also, how long, their education level, and also psychological testing. All these things is something that families talk about all the time, because it's complicated. They have their guns, they have their bullet vest proof, they have everything to protect them, but yet they can kill someone who is unarmed. I just don't understand. I want someone to explain to me why that is possible. Because they have protection, they have training. So what is going on? What is not helping them? Is this even possible to stop, or is this will be going forever? We all have to ask ourselves and think, what can we do to see that change that we're waiting for? Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
Yes, so my name is Yamani. I'm from Brooklyn, New York. It's an honor to be speaking to you today. You embody, strength and brilliance as as an African and a Black woman. Honestly, I grew up, my family's from Senegal, so we grew up. My mother taught me a lot about Amadou, Abner Lawema, a lot of the people from Brooklyn who, you know, were victims of, this racism and violence. And, it's honestly quite hard growing up as a Black, man, especially in this city, but, just this country. And, just my mom trying to arm me with as much of the knowledge for when I go outside, how to protect myself and, how to watch my back and how to turn, how to just to make sure that I stay safe. But, it's hard, especially with right now, everything that's going on. It's hard to stay focused on school. It's hard to stay focused when, you can be here in class and then go outside and your life is completely different. At any point, my life can be taken away from me because, of the color of my skin. And it's just hard to deal with. So I just wanted to ask you, what were some of the ways that you kind of tended and treated your mental health, not only back in the 90s, but, even just now, because this issue is ongoing. It's never ending. So, I'm struggling myself with just how to take time to I guess, just heal and, to just give time to my mental health. So I'm wondering just some of the ways that you tend to yourself.
Thank you, Yamani. Congratulations on being in this class, and I hope that you will strive and succeed. And please understand that we're rooting for all of you, this class, and all the youth today. You remember Bruce Springsteen produced a song called American Skin. It was based on Amadou's story. He talks about in that song about how the mother will be nervous to prepare the child to go out there. And it's a sad reality that all Black mothers and all minority mothers think about. And even though we know police officers sometimes do kill white people also, but the majority of those who are killed, who are unarmed, are Black or Hispanic. We know that. So it's important to understand why we feel that way. It's because it keeps happening. It keeps happening. And for me, you brought a very good point in your question, is the mental state of someone who went through this. For me, it is so challenging because I am trying to heal, and healing is not coming because every year we are seeing cases after cases in the media. I remember when Sean Bell was killed. My grandchildren has just been born, and I left New York. I came in Maryland somewhere where my daughter lived, and I settled there. I was really happy and rejoicing being grandmother for the first time, and they are triplets, babies. And I saw breaking news. A young man has been killed, 50 shots with his friends. And immediately I left everything. I went back to New York to address this thing and connect with Sean Bell's mother. I connected with so many mothers, Eric Garner, Mohammed Barr, and even out of New York City, so many names that I cannot even count on top of my head right now. But mental health is real for our families. Remember, you have seen the mother, me today, but you have not seen my daughter, the sister, the brothers of Amadou. We all go through this, the uncles, the aunts, the grandma. So when they do this to someone, they have affected the whole family, the whole community. And people are stressed and people are worried. I understand why your mother will feel nervous, because you could have, if it happened to Amadou, it could happen to anybody. That's how she would feel, and it's valid because 21 years ago, it's still happening, keep on happening on and on again. So this is a repetition of the same trauma. What I do is my prayers, my faith sustain me through the journey. And sometimes I do meditation. And trust me, I do cry too, because we are human. When you go through it, you have to, you have no choice. But when you believe in, when you have faith, you have something to depend on, because it's hard. I could have, abandoned everything and go back home, but I don't choose to do that because I'm not going to run away from the problem. Even if I go away, far away in Guinea and sit there, it's haunting me. Every time I read in the paper that something had happened to someone, it's going to be wrong. And for me to come to America and just be rewarded, giving money from the civil case and go home and leave the rest of the community that rallied with me, that prayed with me, that protested with me for changes. I mean, I don't have that kind of heart. So this is why I continue to go on and to speak and to join, lend my voice to this movement so that we will end this thing once and for all. It's not going to be easy, but we have to. We have to come to a point where police officers will come and play with young people in the neighborhood, and young people will see them and come and embrace them. That's what we are looking for. We're not looking for over-policing. We're not looking for militarized police. We're looking for police and community relation to be improved so that we can all have the peace that we're looking for. Yes.
Thank you so much. My family sending you blessings. Appreciate you.
Thank you. And you, I will tell you, don't be afraid. Just keep on your education, uphold your education, and make sure you bring the change that you want to see in your community, and is valid to all the students.
Hi, my name is Valencia, and thank you so much for being here today. Um, Recently, there's been a lot of discussion about different police reform and especially defunding the police. So I was wondering about your thoughts on those ideas.
Thank you, Valencia. It's a good question because this is current now, is something that I'm involved in. On top of the Amadou Diallo Foundation, I also belong to a group called the Justice Committee in New York. The Justice Committee is a group of parents who have lost loved ones and siblings through police violence that form that group. And we lobby for laws to be changed and implemented. One of the things after repealing 50A is we ask for the funds to be reallocated. We're not calling it defunding the police because that's the headline that came out everywhere, but it's not defunding the police. It is because we believe that the police should not do everything, which is first responding to some type of situation like emotional disturbed people. When they call 911, the police come and end up killing that person. The community asks for money so that they can reallocate that money to fund social services to help people from mental illness, so that you can take that away. And they believe also the police should not be the first group that can handle situation in public school, that we need more social services. So this is why recently we petition about taking away, because the NYPD had $6 billion in budget for that for the year of 2021. So we argue that $1 billion should be taken from that 6 billion and reallocated to social services. And when people read the headline, oh, now they want to defund the police, they think it's bad. No, the communities are asking for reallocation of some of the funds that they are using because they want to hire more cops, and the communities argue that they don't want more cops, they want more social services. And this is why I support that idea. Nothing will change. They will still have their $5 billion. If they take away $1 billion, it's just to empower communities in giving them more services for first responding to mental services and giving more money to those type of services that they need in schools and elderly care. Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, again, thank you so much for being here. My name is Imani, and like you said multiple times, like this is just like a reoccurring issue. And so we do see that as time has gone on and as technology has advanced, we are able to have access to the display of the actual murders and just brutality happening. So I just want your take on like the trauma that can be attached to constantly viewing Black death, but then also the advancement of having that evidence. So like your take on seeing these videos of police brutality.
Yes, thank you, Imani. Yes, it is hard to see those. Social media has helped a lot because before social media, whenever we have incidents, interaction with the police, we have just one side of the story. And that is whatever we are told happened. And the DA and the police also work together. So the families were struggling to have an independent body to help address those issues. But what is the revolutionary change that happened is the social media. When social media started, people were exposed to those images that you talked about that are hard to see, especially if you are directly connected. Directly connected means if you are a family member of that person or you have been experiencing the similar trauma when your loved one was killed. I remember talking with the mother of Eric Garner, who is a friend of mine, and we always talk. She said to me that is a nightmare that keep reoccurring, that you want to wake up from, but it's reality. Seeing these images on the screen, I remember seeing Eric Garner on television, and that caused me to really be on the floor. And it was hard. It was really hard. So the communities have no choice but to let the world see it, because even though it was traumatic and hard to see, hard to watch, that galvanized the people to cause the outpouring support and people to say, this have to stop. If the people don't see those images, you don't understand, because you can say, well, they're accusing the police officers, but they said this is how it happened. You don't have, it was unbalanced. So the communities have no win-win situation here. If you say you don't want the social media to play into this role and educate people of what happened, then you have no way of arguing that it was wrong. So even though it's hard, that's the only tool we have right now at this moment. It's hard to see, hard to watch. I don't want to watch it, but it's important to let the world know what happened, because we know police officers sometimes don't tell the truth. Sometimes we also have some laws that are implemented that they have to have their own body camera. Sometimes they can enable the camera, you don't see the whole image. Sometimes they also don't let the public get access to it, even if they have the whole thing. So it's helping and hurting at the same time. Trauma mentally is draining, it's difficult to watch, but I think it's helping to raise awareness, and it's important to let people see.
Thank you.
Thank you, Maddie.
Right, thank you so much. It is 11 o'clock now, so I know some people have to go to other classes. And please take this time, if you have to head out to your class, please take this time to thank our speaker. And also, I want to ask you, what can we do for you? You came and gave us an hour of your time and taught us so much. What can we do for you?
Thank you, Mr. Boyle. It has been a wonderful 1 hour. I didn't even know it has been an hour, because the student has been so engaged, and appreciated that. The one thing I want the students to know that we have a foundation, is the AmadouDiallo.org. You can log on and see it. You can read about Amadou, but also, more importantly, I want the students to be the change that they want to see. If you see something that you don't agree with, try to change it. And use your privilege, use your opportunities that you have in your institution to be the change that we are waiting for. Absolutely. And I would like you to write to us and let us know about anything that you may have forgotten. You can write to us through the AmadouDiallo.org, and I really thank you and encourage you to succeed in your studies. Maybe among you, we can have future lawyers, we can have even future judges, or future lawmakers, politicians. Whatever you want to do, just do something. If you do something to bring the change, you have done something for me. Thank you.
Can everybody unmute, please, and send a big thank you out?
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right. And while you're on, I'd like to introduce you to our speaker from last week, Lance Hamilton. Lance, if you're still on.
Yes, I'm here. Ma'am, I do want to say thank you very much for your impactful words and the message that you delivered, especially the way you personalized Amadou in the beginning before you got into the question and answers. And I want to, acknowledge that Yamani had asked a question that I was gearing up to wait until all the students were done to kind of get into, because it captured, and in your response, you captured some of what I was feeling, which was, as a father, as a black man raising 3 black sons, and I don't know if you could see, but they're on also, the 3 of them are sitting together. We homeschool, so I demanded they come and join this to hear about what the struggle is. But one of the challenges that I always wonder, while I have this perpetual hope in the good of humanity, and as long as we're out doing something, we're going to make a change, but I have never been faced with what you had to endure, and don't know how I would balance in my own head if what I would deem an unjustified, killing of one of my 3 sons without taking a switch and clicking it toward my desire for vigilante justice to make right the harm that was done to them, and their ability to, relying on your faith and getting involved to balance that. The way you did that is sort of, very impactful and emotional for me, because I don't know that I have that ability. But even though I believe in humanity, and just like you want a better society for your grandchildren, and I want a better society for my sons, aren't, I don't know that they'll see it, but for my grandchildren maybe as well. But I just, that balance in how you manage not to want to take justice into your own hands. And I think many of us, and definitely me as a black man with 3 black sons, with the fears that go with that, I just have to make sure that, God forbid something would happen to them, that I have the strength that you had to persevere without taking matters into my own hands, sadly.
Wow, God bless you. Thank you. With this, I believe that Amadou's short life and legacy will endure. And I really thank you, and look up to each one of us to reach out in our own heart and love one another, and help one another, and challenge one another for the better of all of us and our future generations. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. I mean, the past 3 classes have been wonderful. Lance spoke last Friday, then we had Graham on Tuesday, and then today it's been a very emotional week here. So we really, really appreciate it, and all the students appreciate it. And all the students say goodbye. If you and Lance can just stay on the line for 1 second, okay?
Okay.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Boyle. It means a lot. Appreciate you inviting me.
Yamini, stay 1 second. Yamini was in my class as a freshman. He's not in my class now, but I invited him to this.
Yamani, hi, God bless you.
Thank you. My mother, literally, she wanted to be here to talk to you. She went to mosque, so she can't, but she said, wow, take as much as you can from her, send her my blessings, everything. It means the world, and it's such an honor to talk to you. So